right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 3 of Back to Birding. This is your host, Patrick Higgins.
And this is Luke Thompson. Welcome back, everyone.
We are happy to be back. Christmas is just around the corner, and I think we are both officially done with our schooling for the semester.
As of about 2 hours ago for me, I finished my stats exam, so...
Awesome. How did that go?
Decent. I got an 85 on it, so...
That is decent. That's good.
I could have gone better, but I didn't study that well.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Do you have any Christmas plans?
I'm working 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
Does
that include Christmas Day?
It does not,
That's
thankfully.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. Nothing super crazy for the days that I'm working. Just a few shifts here and there because I'm broke.
Me too, but I just quit my job. Tomorrow is my last day. I got to find something new for next semester, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I guess we should talk about birds.
Yeah, let's get back to birding, and we're 2 minutes in. But well, we've been talking about it in both episodes now, and we've been pushing it off on other topics, but we're finally going to talk about Baylor.
Yeah.
Its many incredible attributes.
Yeah, we are. Before that, I say we should talk about what little birding has gone on in our lives in the past however many days, 5 days since we last recorded. Patrick, have you done anything?
No. I've done a little bit of birding at my house.
Did you get anything?
I got a killer picture of a yellow-bellied sapsucker.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was sick.
I was stoked about that. The tree it was on was jet black, and I didn't know why, but a Tennessee birder, Mark Green, filled me in on some of that science.
Black mold, right?
Well, it's like something about the sap from the woodpeckers like leaking out of it and then covering the bark, and then it reacts with water in a weird way. But super neat, and it made for a really cool picture.
Yes, it did.
Other than that, been trying to bird here and there, but just too busy with everything wrapping up. And, I think birding in the next few weeks will make up for it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah. What about you?
I've been able to get out twice. I got out pretty briefly after an exam with Tim. He texted me recently. It was like, I got a spot to scan for the roosting gulls on Chickamauga Lake, but it's a little bit sketchy to get there, which really intrigued me. I was like, oh, that sounds perfect. So
right. Exactly.
After school, I drove out and we hiked on a trail for about a quarter mile through some forest. Unclear if we were trespassing or not.
As always.
Yeah. There was no trespassing sign. There was just a no hunting sign. So I think we're fine.
Well, that's the best of both worlds. You're not trespassing and you don't have to worry about being shot.
Yeah, perfect. And then after hiking on the trail, there was just a steep hill and then the lake. So we promptly went off trail and slid. One could not call it walking. We were more like sliding our ways down this hill.
I'm guessing Tim was carrying his very expensive equipment as well. So was that taken care of?
I was carrying his camera. He was carrying his scope.
Oh, wow.
So that was a lot of pressure for me.
I can understand that.
But no, the scope actually helped him. Because just balance on the way down.
You use it as a walking stick?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Then finally we got down to the shore, but there was about a 10-15 foot drop to the bank to get a more exposed view. But there was a tree halfway down the middle, and I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just drop the gear down, except for my binoculars right here, and climb down to that tree, and then there's some roots sticking out, and we just climb down from there. So I did that. I almost fell, but it's fine. I made it to the shore, found a place for Tim to walk down. And the gulls were all up by, thousands of gulls up by the platform where we normally watch from.
Not where you were.
Not where we were.
Dang.
It was...
That's typical. You move to one spot and there at the other spot.
Yeah. I mean, we got some really nice looks at Bonaparte's goals and a few
That's
ringers
good.
up close, which is cool. But, you know, nothing crazy.
No lesser blackback.
No lesser blackback. We keep hoping and praying for a little goal.
Mm.
And with the bonies, because there's so many of them, but
Yeah.
no avail so far.
Did you get in any feeding frenzies?
No.
There's been a bunch of bonies in that area. But
Yeah, they weren't feeding. It was pretty much the end of the day, so everything was
Oh.
going to roost and sort of
Right.
just chilling on the water. We did have a bunch of gulls flying in from the north, super high, which inspired us to look up where the nearby landfills were.
Of course.
Because why not? And then
Did you find any?
well, there was stuff that like on Google Maps was like landfill, and we were like, that doesn't look like a landfill, but it might have goals, right?
It's worth checking. I've done some very bad trespassing in order to look at a landfill. But
Yep.
jeez.
Yeah. Well, turns out we went the next morning, so we had the treacherous climb back up, in which I almost fell. Had to use Tim's scope to pull me, or like the tripod to pull me back up, or else I would have been kind of stuck.
Oh wow.
It was a lovely experience. But yeah, the next morning we headed out to a what was some sort of dump something up in the north of the county. It was nothing. There was like piles of dirt with no birds, unfortunately, and we about got yelled at because as I was pulling away, some employee was driving back up with speed, presumably to tell us to get the hell away. But it is what it is. And we hit like Sooty Lake. It's this new Pattison Road boat launch, which I've never hit before, where I got one of your nemesis birds, a Wilson snipe.
Former nemesis bird.
Yeah, but it's still funny.
Yeah. Surely that'll go away at some point.
We'll be on our deathbeds, and I'll be like, Patrick.
The Wilson snipe was too late.
And then we hit Old McDonald Farm, which is a bunch of cornfields that have been like cut and plowed. Maybe.
Is that where the horned lark and longspurs were?
Yeah, there haven't been longspurs yet.
Oh,
There-
really? Maybe that was an old record I saw. But.
There's probably an old record from there. It would make sense. That's what we were thinking going there, like longspur.
Mm-hmm.
We had no longspurs. We had no horned larks. We had like once or twice something where Tim was like longspur and then couldn't confirm it.
Mm.
We did have a bunch of pipits, including pipits that flushed and then landed on a telephone wire and walked on it.
I've only ever seen one pipit on a telephone wire, and it was out of place.
It was weird. I was like, oh, those are pipits on the wire. What?
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, but I mean, besides that,
Yeah, any Brewers blackbirds?
nope. We
No.
had no blackbirds.
Really?
Yeah. We were really rushed through the day generally, though, because I had to get to an exam
Mm.
by 1 p.m., and we were far up in the north. Actually, we made it to Hiwassee to check super quick.
Wow.
For reference, Hiwassee is about an hour from my school.
Yeah.
To check and see if there were some Ross's geese there. There were no longer Ross's geese there. Bunch of ducks, though. Came back to school and took an exam. And that's about all. That's all I've been able to do.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
More than you, at least.
It's not hard to beat zero, but yeah, I think I mentioned it a second ago, but we have some very exciting birding just beyond the horizon. Tomorrow I leave for my Christmas bird count, and I'm guessing you start yours early Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where are you doing your Christmas bird count?
You start. I've been rambling.
Yeah, I am going to Reelfoot to do the Christmas bird count there.
Where is that in reference of the state of Tennessee?
So Chattanooga is at the very bottom right corner of Tennessee, and Reelfoot is at the very top left corner. So I think it's a 6-hour drive from here to there, which isn't as bad as I expected, but that's what we're working with. And I'm staying the weekend there, going midday tomorrow, hoping to relocate some rough-legged hawks that were seen 2 days ago. So
It's one I do not have.
very hopeful. I also have never seen one, but that's the best place in the state for them annually. So who knows? But we've got some very exciting journeys ahead.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm a little jealous of him, honestly. Reelfoot Lake is the only natural lake in Tennessee, actually, and it has some of the best birding in the state. That whole area does. So, yeah, he's gonna come back and have seen some cool stuff.
Yeah, and last year it was great, and I was able to go on that also. And my first Tennessee black-legged kitty wake was seen there during the count, and about 3 hours after it was found, Alan Troyer, who found it, sent a picture of it in the talons of a bald eagle, and it was no longer with us. But,
it's unfortunate, man.
Sometimes that happens with vagrants. They are preyed upon because they're usually weaker, or something is wrong with them. So,
yeah.
But that was kind of hysterical and hard not to laugh at.
Yeah,
But it's like,
kind of a brutal thing to laugh at, but also
our phone just looked like black-legged kitty wake at Reelfoot, and then the very next message, there's no longer a black-legged kitty wake at Reelfoot. So that's what we were working with. But yeah, some super cool birds there. I know the short-eared owl is really regular there on some of those farm fields. So I think we're going to try and do some of that. But
do you have short-eared owl?
I do. I got it there. That was the only place in the state. So really looking forward to it. And I have some targets. I need Brewer's blackbird as a lifer.
That should be easy there, right?
It's just a matter of finding it. They are seen in that area all throughout winter every year, but very hard to distinguish if you don't get good looks and potentially pictures. So hoping that we can get some of those, one of those even. But
that's a more western species of blackbird, closely related to, or at least close in appearance to, or Rusty's.
Rusty, yeah. Also want western meadowlark. We get those in winter in West Tennessee, and I don't have that for the state. It would be a lifer, but it's the meadowlark that they have in Hawaii, so I got that there. But
wait, what? There's meadowlarks in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Are they introduced?
Of course, yeah. Everything on Hawaii is introduced except 5 species. But yeah, they have such a funny variation of their species.
There's meadowlarks in Hawaii.
There's wild chickens. They have the ringneck pheasant I was talking about.
Yeah.
All of it. They have Chinese bird, Indian birds, American birds. But
Hawaii is weird.
It's very weird. Very cool. But yeah, I think I actually only saw one endemic species whenever I went this spring.
Really?
Yeah, it was the apapane, one of the honey creepers, I think. But
yeah,
everything is just restricted to the very tip tops of the peaks on each island. And I went to Kauai, so you have to get up around 5,000 feet or more in elevation to get some of those endemics.
And I guess you didn't really have the chance.
No, it was on a mission trip, so the only birding I could do was from location to location that we were going. But we did go to the lighthouse there, which is one of the most famous birding spots in the country, probably. Absolutely massive roost of red-footed boobies and great frigate birds.
Oh, sick.
And I could have seen a couple other species if I had tried, but I just didn't do quite enough research. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey,
but
that's how it goes.
yeah. Other than that, back to the West Tennessee birds. Smith's longspur is possible. Very, very hard, but
That is
possible.
funny that you mentioned that, because I was literally looking at all the Smith's longspur records for the state in the past 10 years, like a few hours ago.
Yeah, yeah. It's one that I think everyone hopes for on this count, because it's seen there, every few years,
Every
probably.
year,
It's
like 2
always a
years.
flyover. It's always
Yeah.
it's always one of the stoles. But yeah, really hoping to find that. My girlfriend's dad, Chris Agee, is taking me out there, and he wants it as a lifer and state bird. So that's probably our.
Are y'all like? What's the party look like for y'all? Is it just y'all two, or?
Yeah, us two and Josh Stevenson are riding out there. He's a Nashville birder, and meeting up with some of the other guys, probably 10 or 15 other guys, maybe.
Are y'all all gonna be like working in one group together, or is it gonna be split up?
Yeah, it's split up, and I think it's typically the same every year, but it's like a designated circle that is sectioned off in little routes on a map.
Yeah.
And so we will probably get the section that we usually get, and we'll check that, and then spend the whole day birding that. And at the end of the day, everyone will meet back up and report what they saw in their respective sections. So, in the case that there is a vagrant found, or, just a targeted bird that somebody wants to go see, like, obviously there's no rules that restrict you from going to chase it, but it's just a matter of trying to see as much as you can in your little region. But
Sweet.
yeah, I think the owls will be fun to look for. I know that area is probably the only place in Tennessee with regularly occurring long-eared owls, so I doubt we'll see any, but there's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
Didn't you text me in the past week or two? Let's go find some long-eared owls this winter.
Yes, I want to so bad. I feel like owls are much more widespread than we think.
100%. I think saw-whet owl here in Tennessee is.
Yeah, I mean, last year Ruben found one in Tennessee. In Nashville.
Yeah.
Just listening for them.
I think that's really the case, is just people don't find them because they're really secretive during the day. They don't call that much. And yeah,
and they're small.
And there's almost no chance of seeing one otherwise. So
even screech owls are, difficult to find, and
vastly
they're
underreported.
Yeah, and they are extremely frequent. So it's just a matter of really trying for them, and then you can find them. But if you're just birding on a regular day, you just won't see them. But
yeah.
But yeah, I would love to really focus on some owling this winter. That would be awesome.
I am game.
Yeah. Who knows? But about a month ago, at the beginning of November, I was in North Georgia on a little retreat with my college ministry, and I was birding at about 7:30 in the morning, and I heard a call that I had never heard before, so I immediately started recording, and it only called one more time, and
everyone is stumped.
To this day, no one knows what it is, but it does sound exactly like a boreal owl.
Which, by the way, if it is, I would be speechless. I would
I think
stop birding.
Who knows? But I've had all kinds of suggestions. I think northern flicker, turkey, frog, groundhog.
I feel like we've already talked about this here.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, I don't know. I think that would be incredible, and I really do want to just find out what it was, even if it wasn't even a bird. But yeah, that's on my eBird if anyone wants to go listen to that.
Yeah, we'll link it in the description
Yep.
of the show.
But yeah, there's some cool owls in the area over winter. So
Yeah. Wow.
but yeah, what does your Christmas bird count this weekend look like?
Shocker at Baylor. I'm doing the Chattanooga count. So me and the guy just moved here from Idaho. His name is Austin. We'll be hitting up Baylor.
Is his name Austin Young?
Yes.
I
yes,
just
it
got a
is.
friend request from him on Facebook. I'll accept that.
Shout out to Austin. Yeah, we're going to hit Baylor, but hopefully we're going to try for owls in the morning. I'm hoping to get
You said you're
something
waking
here.
up at 4:30?
No, I'm getting to Baylor at 4:30. I'm
waking up before that.
probably 3:45
Okay.
wake up call.
Understood.
Unless I sleep on campus, which I don't think is allowed. So,
Maybe.
yeah.
Might be worth it.
Yeah.
So are you only doing the campus, or are you going
Yeah.
further?
So we're going to go over to Williams Island. I have a couple kayaks that inherited from my grandfather that we're going to take out to Williams Island. So Baylor is on the Tennessee River, and just across from us there's an island which has some really incredible birding.
Yeah, it's a pretty large, massive land. So
Yeah, it's like perimeter is like over 4 miles. It's a pretty big island considering the size of the river it's in.
right.
There's a bunch of fields. There's a really good field for sparrows, and then a bunch of fields that they grow hay on, which might have some cool stuff on it this time of year, and some cows, just to get a cattle egret in December. And there's a good little pond on there that should have good ducks on it because it's private property. I have gotten access from the people who own it. It's private property, so no one's over there hunting, and
Nice.
it's completely undisturbed. So there should be ducks, and hopefully there's some holdover great egrets there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be cool. We'll see. I've thrown out some very optimistic numbers for the
Such
species
as?
count that we'll get. So I said 75 to 85. What did I say? 75
Yeah,
range?
I think 75 was...
Like, I think we will get 75. Knock on wood. But we'll see. I think if we have a really good day, we could push 85, but I don't know. It really just depends on the day.
Yeah.
The amount of diversity of ducks over on that pond, because Baylor's been kind of dismal for duck diversity recently.
Mhm.
I went out and counted the ducks and scared them through, and it was 62 mallards and nothing else.
Mhm. It's all right. It happens. Yeah.
But,
Are you expecting any vagrant species?
on that count,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's like really, I would say, as expected. I would hope for something like a horned lark or a longspur to show
In
up.
some of those fields.
Yeah,
guess.
on Williams Island, some of those fields would be good. I don't know. We can dream, right?
Mhm.
And we can say tropical kingbird
Yeah.
or fork-tailed flycatcher.
Yeah. Who knows?
Those two are vastly overdue for the state.
Yeah. And I think fork-tailed flycatcher is probably even more expected than tropical. At this point, it's looking at the records around us. It seems like we are one of the last states in the eastern U.S. to get one.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Why don't we have one? Like,
Yeah.
we have a Cassin's kingbird, which
I know.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean we've got all kinds of crazy birds like sharp-tailed sandpiper, but
yeah.
yeah, I think it'll be
Ancient
seen.
merlet.
Yeah, I know. I think it'll be seen here soon. I think so many people have it on the mind that it's just gonna happen.
I have it on the mind so much that there's a field at Baylor that I've dubbed the fork-tailed flycatcher field because it's where one's going to show up.
So we have ash-throated flycatcher bridge and fork-tailed flycatcher field now.
Yeah, the fork-tailed flycatcher field, it doesn't really deserve its name, though.
Not yet, right?
Not yet. I do scan it pretty frequently. So Hopefully.
Have you ever seen one before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that'd be a lifer for me as well.
Yeah, fork-tailed flycatchers don't show up anywhere in the U.S. with regularity.
Right.
They're
I didn't know that. I thought that they did have a little bit of range, but I was informed of that today. But
yeah,
I probably could have seen one in Honduras if I had tried. But
yeah, they have multiple subspecies from what I know, and all through Central and South America. And so, the birds that we actually normally get in North America are austral migrants. So they're heading to their wintering range. So they just overshoot a bunch. So from somewhere, say Chile, Argentina, Brazil, or something, and then they're flying north, and they overshoot a bunch, or we'll get reverse migrants. It's just stuff like that. And they're almost always one-day wonders, it seems like, in the States. And they show up so, like, widely everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It's all months of the year.
Yeah.
Which is just weird.
Like, all months of the year in all parts of the country.
Mhm.
I think I missed a fork-tailed flycatcher by a few days in Virginia Beach a few years back.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was, like, monitoring it, and it had actually stuck a couple days, which is weird for them. Or I guess maybe not super weird, but most of them are 1 or 2 day wonders. And I missed it. It is what it is. I'll see one eventually.
Yeah.
But this is a really cool bird. They're picture for those of you that know what an eastern kingbird looks like. It's like an eastern kingbird with a scissor-tailed flycatcher's tail. So that's a little bit smaller than a robin, white below, gray on top, sort of a black cap, and then a super, super long forked black tail.
Yeah, and stunning bird.
They're really super, super cool.
I would love to see one. Would you say that's one of your worst misses? Or?
No, it doesn't feel like a miss. I was like 11 at the time, so it wasn't like a painful thing or anything.
I think kelp gull, probably my worst miss.
Oh, do tell.
I was in South Texas at the time that
shoot.
Brownsville landfill had one. And I was about an hour late and 3 hours early.
No.
It was seen in the morning and then was not seen for about 4 or 5 hours the day I was there, and that's when I was there. And then that evening it came back, and a bunch of people got to see it. But I just didn't have time to stay. So, but I mean, with a goal like that from this southern end of South America primarily, that's, I mean, unreal. But
yeah, that's rough. That is rough. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I also was not on any good local chats for South Texas, or otherwise I probably could have chased it a little bit better. But
it happens. It happens.
Yeah, what other vagrants do you think might show up here in Tennessee this winter or in the next year?
I don't know. One that I dream of is Slatyback gull. I think
that's definitely.
I think it's a possibility for sure. It's shown up.
It's probably one of the most expected at this point.
Yeah, it just depends on if you can get a landfill with good viewing. So, and you get lucky. But yeah, I really like their banding code, S-Bag.
S-Bag, that's pretty funny.
Because they also just look mean, so it really fits.
Yeah. There's speaking of gulls, the yellow-footed gull was just found in
Texas, right?
In Texas, yeah. And
speaking of Texas, like on our last episode, they're just on fire.
Oh, I know. And like, it wasn't even known when it was reported. It was posted to a gull ID group on Facebook, and then it's a state first. So
Texas is on fire.
Yeah, but I have no idea what their state list is up to now.
Yeah. Nothing will beat California.
I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Sidetrack. We're going to check the Texas state list. Any bets on what the state list for Texas is?
I'm going to say 575.
I'm going to say 602. Let's see. 675. Holy crap.
100 more.
That's on eBird, so I don't know
Whoa.
what the official state list.
Yeah, it's probably like 680 or something.
No, I would say actually the official state list is probably less because California on eBird is, I think, like 702. Let's see. But the official state list is, I think, 676. Yeah, California is 706, but the official state list is 676. So I think eBird counts a couple exotics and other birds that didn't make it through with the committee. So Texas is probably in the 650 range officially, whatever that means.
In quotes.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, I love Texas. And we do have
I want to go back.
a couple friends there at the moment. Nolan Walker got a shout out last episode, but he will again this one. He's guiding down there, so
Yeah.
turning up some great numbers this winter. But Ryan Rodriguez is a birder even younger than us, and he's doing incredible things down there as well.
Is he actually younger than us?
Yeah, I think he's
Really?
just 17 or something.
That's
but-
insane. God, I've
Yeah.
never felt old before.
But yeah, that's some of my favorite birding down there. I'm gonna try and get back there this spring to Galveston, so hopefully that works out. But yeah, now we could talk some more about Baylor.
Yeah. I've been going to school here since I was, how old was I? 12. So 6
So
years.
you started in 6th grade, I think.
Yeah, I started here in 6th grade, and I've been birding here since 6th grade, and it's incredible. I've seen 213 species here. The campus list is all I care about in life. Without my campus list, I would just perish off the face of the earth.
Seems like your priorities are straight.
Yeah, 100%. Grades, no. Campus list, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm on school more than any of my friends. Like, I'm at school more than any of my friends, but I'm studying.
But not for academic reasons.
Yeah, like, like, I look out the window in class frequently to see what birds are out there.
Well, you have a good record from doing that.
Yeah. So back in 2021, I was in Spanish class, but it was the day after the remnants of a hurricane had passed through. So I was like, oh, there's a high possibility for something crazy out the window. So I selectively chose a seat right next to a window that was overlooking the river, and I had a freaking Sooty Tern.
Jeez, did you even have binoculars?
No.
Jeez.
I had, thankfully it was an immature, because if it was an adult, it would have been bridled or Sooty. I wouldn't have been able to tell, but it flew like right next to the window, like not right, but like close enough to see it well.
That's so cool.
Like, I mean, the window is probably 20 feet from the river, and the bird was maybe 30, 40, 50 feet. I don't know. I can't remember. Just well enough
That's
to
gracious.
identify it. But yeah, it was cool.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that not many people have done that.
I might be the only one. Wow,
That's
that was
so cool.
That was pretty insane. I mean, I've had black-billed cuckoo in the middle of English class before.
Wow. That's one of my better finds in my life. I had one up in Davidson when I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And there's some killer photos of that I did not get, but it was right in front of everybody, so that was cool.
Yeah. Man, I mean, and then outside of, birding from the windows, I bird there almost every weekend. It's 15 minutes from my house. Well, actually, we're on campus, bird here. We can see the river from where we're sitting.
Right now.
Yeah, but it's right on the river. So there's a good amount of forest. It's 700 acres.
A flock of waxwings just flew by.
Are you for real?
That's funny.
Yeah. So it's 700 acres, much of which is just forest.
Crazy.
It's a high school. It's ridiculous. But yeah, a lot of forest. So we got like breeding summer and scarlet tanagers and good migration. in the spring and fall. But honestly, I would say that it is relatively lackluster in the migrant warblers department.
I would beg to differ. What's your warbler number? Do you know that off the top of your head?
For Baylor?
Yeah.
30?
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
there's only what, like 35 in
wait,
the Eastern U.S.
let me see. I say that just because it's never like insanely thick like I've had it in other places. Like, I bird Baylor enough to the point where I've had about every single expected warbler, but I don't know. I feel like up on the ridges you'll get like a Tennessee warbler every 2 feet. It feels like in the spring singing. Or
I mean, that makes sense though. Like you are kind of down at a lower elevation spot.
Yeah, right
so
next to the ridges too. So I bet a lot of stuff goes up. But
that would make sense.
Yeah, it's not bad for warblers at all. It's better in the fall, in my opinion. All right, let's see. How many species of warblers do we have? Yeah, it's 35. It's decent.
Yeah.
That is every single expected warbler species minus Connecticut warbler, which has been recorded in the past there. So
really?
I guess not that lackluster for warblers.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only one in Tennessee that I need still.
Really?
Is Connecticut. That'd be a lifer, but
let's find one this spring.
I know that would be a goal. So you said you have seen one, or that was just in the past?
Dan Jacobson has a historical record.
Wow.
From Baylor, he points out the area to me sometimes. It makes sense. There's good habitat for it. I should get one.
I mean, we can really target that next spring.
I'm really hoping. I've gotten mourning warbler here in the past. It's great for like northern water thrush and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, where we get northern water thrush transition here, look at that, is along what we call Baylor Lake. It's somewhere in between a wetland and a pond and a lake. It's
a cove.
Yeah, it's where Stringer's Branch and Mountain Creek pour into the Tennessee River, and it just flattens out, and there's a body of water that is made progressively worse by Baylor not knowing how to manage it well.
Well, that's what you're doing with the research, right?
Yeah, so
restoring that.
I'm trying to. It's going to become a forest with 2 streams going through it in the next few years if something isn't changed, though. But as of right now, it's really good birding. I mean, I have roosting flocks in the range of 200 Canada geese there every night. They're probably flying in right now.
Yeah, we just heard some on our walk here.
Yeah. And I've had pretty much all the expected duck species on campus. And so, yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. And you get waders there, and there's good habitat for Martian sedrin. I know you've had some amazing experiences with those birds out on campus.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the best spot in the county for both of those species. Just
100%.
Just because of the access you can have to them. I think Brenner Levy is probably almost just as good, but you just can't get to them as easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think there's a few places where, there are as many Martian sedrins, but the access at Baylor, if you're willing,
it's unbeatable.
Yeah, if you're willing to work for it a little bit. Actually, you don't even have to. Sometimes you can just walk a couple hundred feet through a field and have a Martian 10 feet in front of your face.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite memories at Baylor have been taking waders out into the middle of the lakes where there's, formerly a mudflat, but now there's a bunch of grasses and pickerelweed and stuff out there. It's a really nice wetland habitat, and it's full of pollinators in the summer. It's really beautiful. And I had 2 marsh wrens within 5 feet of me just scolding, while 2 more called within 30 feet. That's crazy.
That's unreal. That is unreal.
Yeah, that area where we have Martian sedrin hopefully are still wintering, or like still here, and they're overwintering, so I can get them for the CBC.
Have you heard them recently?
I heard one a couple weeks ago. Heard a marsh wren. I haven't really checked the area in a while, just because I've been busy.
Right.
I haven't really birded campus that well in a month or so. But yeah, that area used to be a mud flat, and now there's a lot of vegetation going up to the point where it's actually an issue. So some of the research I'm doing with the school, I'm removing vegetation for shorebird habitat, and hopefully Patrick will be able to help out with that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen for sure. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we're removing that vegetation and restoring mudflat for shorebirds. It's hard work, and we don't want to remove all of it because it is such a great ecosystem for a lot of species.
Mm-hmm. It might draw in a purple gallinule, right?
Yeah.
There's
that. You got to strike a balance between, working for just the shorebirds, and then working for everything else too. So, I think that's what we're aiming for, and hopefully what the management plan will do. Yeah. Speaking of that, one day when we were removing vegetation, my teacher, Ben, he's not a birder, he's a herper, researches salamanders, and he showed up about 30 minutes late. There were a couple of us already out there pulling mud or pulling pickerelweed out of the mud. That's the dominant vegetation out there. And he showed up and he was like, "Hey, Luke, you know what I saw this morning while I was walking my dog?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "A spoonbill." And I was like, "No, Ben, you're full of crap. There's no way." Roseate spoonbill is a species of wader that is pinkish, and it's got shockingly a bill shaped like a spoon. So it's about the size of like a little blue heron, so half the size of a great blue, a little less than half the size of a great blue, I would say.
And they can be hot pink.
They can be hot pink, but the young ones are sort of a pale pink.
Yeah, the juveniles do kind of lack some of that extreme color, but like down when I've seen them in Galveston, holy cow, they're gorgeous birds.
Yeah.
I actually have a roseate spoonbill feather on my bedside table.
Really? That's sick.
Yeah, I was looking at some in the marsh, probably 2017, 2018, and a feather was right there in the water, so I just picked it up and took it home.
Hey.
I've got it on my Audubon painting collection book in my house.
Sick.
So yeah, that's cool. But
yeah.
Well, yeah, that bird was insane.
Yeah, so
it's like 15 feet from a path.
Yeah, like we were out there removing vegetation, and I was like, okay, I can't check right now. I'll see it if it flies off. And so we got back, and I almost actually drove off without checking. And then I was like, oh wait, Ben said he had a spoonbill. and I pulled over, and yeah, there was a spoonbill. Literally.
Crazy. I mean, this
10
summer,
or 15 feet away.
Yeah, this summer they did kind of explode in the same way that limpkins did, but not quite to the extent at all. But I think at that time when that one showed up, we had like 5 or 6 at the
Duck River
in West Tennessee.
Yeah. Funnily enough, when I called Patrick about this bird, he was like, well, there's no way I can make it out. I guess I'll make it out, right? Yeah. This frequently happens. He's like, I'm way too busy. I have way too much homework, and then he still comes out anyways.
Mm-hmm. That's, for good or bad, it happens.
But what he ended up having to do that day, do you want to tell everyone?
So I was literally on my way to the Duck River unit to go ban some wood ducks. And I was really hoping to see the 5 spoonbills that were there at the time. And then he calls me and shows me a picture of a roseate spoonbill right there on Baylor Lake. So I rushed there on the way out of town, and I thought I might be the first person in Tennessee history to get 2 different roseate spoonbills in 2 different counties in the same day. But
alas.
But they were not there. At least I could not find them whenever I got to the Duck River unit. So I got one Rosea spoonbill.
That's still
Yeah,
pretty
I
great.
will absolutely take it. But.
Yeah, that was a really awesome record right there.
Mm-hmm.
That exact spot has also had what I would say is one of the best birds I've found on campus. I don't know if it's the best ash-throated flycatcher. We've talked about it before on the podcast, but walking to my car to get my phone for a recording of a blue-gray gnatcatcher because it was a late bird, and I was like, I guess I'll get a recording to make the reviewer happy.
Yeah.
And I snagged my phone, and I was parked right next to the Red Bridge, which is where the spoonbill was seen from, about 10 feet from that bridge.
Yeah.
And I was just double checking, making sure there wasn't anything weird. And oh my God, there was an ash-throated flycatcher, like the 5th bird I looked at.
Yeah. Baylor just keeps producing. And I mean, I guess going further back before this summer and before I started birding with you, what were some highlights other than the Sooty Tern?
Nelson sparrow is one that stands out. Yeah, this was a couple years back, I think 2020 actually, and I was walking along the edge of the lake with just a little strip of grass that actually had me thinking LeConte sparrow, like dreaming LeConte sparrow, because this strip of grass is like nothing.
Aren't we all dreaming LeConte sparrow?
We are. But this strip of grass is nothing compared to the great habitat that is on the rest of campus for, a LeConte Nelson Sinslow sparrow. Mm-hmm. I know I actually made a figure of all of that one day when I was bored and sent it to you.
Oh, yeah. You just mapped out every single patch of grass across 700 acres.
Yeah. I don't pay attention in stats class.
Hey, you're done with that exam now, so.
Well, that was the first semester exam.
Bummer.
A whole nother semester of it. But anyways, walking along this really crappy strip of grass, and we flushed a Nelson sparrow. And then it disappeared. It never perched up. We have no idea where it went. It probably flew the 10 feet into the much better or much more expansive habitat, never to be seen again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
do you want to describe a Nelson sparrow briefly?
Yeah, so this is a tiny little sparrow that breeds, at least the subspecies that I got, breeds in the prairie region of the United States in marshes, and it is a brilliant sparrow. I have one of the best. It's bright orange underneath with bright orange on the face, and then sort of a dark brown back with some beautiful white streaking, very crisp patterning overall. Yeah, I mean,
some
stunning.
gray thrown in there.
Some what?
Some gray thrown in.
Yeah, on the nape, and that's how we identified it actually.
The key difference between
LeConte's and Nelson's.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes. It's a beautiful bird. It is a beautiful bird. I really wish that bird would have perched up for us to get good looks and pictures of, but unfortunately no. But I still have a Nelson sparrow on campus.
Yeah, that's great.
I
mean, that's in West Tennessee. All of our sparrow numbers are much higher and more frequent than out here in East Tennessee. So, any of those three are highly sought after and incredible birds to get. So,
speaking of Henslow sparrow, we got something to look forward to in the spring. There is allegedly a location within an hour of here. Actually, honestly, I think 30 minutes from here, maybe 40, which allegedly has over 100 singing Henslow sparrows.
Are they breeding?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
100?
100.
Is that true? Like, who did you hear that from?
Heard it from Tim, who heard it from a friend, who heard it from a friend.
So who knows?
We've scouted the habitat on Google Maps, and it looks perfect.
Really?
And it came from a relatively reliable source.
There's a bunch of fields up a county north of us that are not checked.
Which county are you thinking?
Sequatchie.
This is Sequatchie County.
Yeah, and Meigs. But So much habitat up there.
Yeah.
It seems right for a lot of good sparrows. That's just underbirded. But
Yeah, I think this is legit that there's Henslow's breeding there because the habitat is right, and it's in historical breeding range. So it's expansive. So I think, yeah, we're gonna go out there this spring. Me and Tim have been talking about it.
I will join you.
Yeah, you will join me. Even if you have an exam or something, I'm gonna knock you out, throw you into the back of the car, and you'll wake up with Henslow sparrows. I've actually worked with Henslow sparrows before. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Where was that at?
It was actually in eastern North Carolina, of all places. It is the only breeding population, if I'm remembering right now correctly, east of the Appalachians currently. There used to be a lot more, but habitat destruction.
Wow.
So I got to volunteer as a field tech for a little over a week out there, and yeah, it was super awesome. I got to hold a Henslow sparrow.
Nice.
I'm probably one of the only people in the world who have held both Bendire's thrasher and Henslow sparrow within 3 months. And yeah, I got to spend a lot of time with them. It was a really, really neat experience, and that grassland was gorgeous.
Yeah, there's something about marshes and grassland that really just captivates me.
Me too.
I think the contrast between gold and a green tree line in the back just does something to you. But
yeah, I love those type of birds too. I've always been obsessed with like the Martian Cedron type birds, and then like that group of sparrows, Henslows, LeContes, Nelsons. Like as long as I remember, past like 3-4 years, and yeah, I actually wrote an English paper recently about finding every single wren in the genus that Sedge Martian are in.
what is that genus?
That's a good question. Give me 2 seconds and I can find out. There are currently 5 species in that genus. There are probably upwards of 7 to 10 in reality. The reason I say that is grass wren has so many disjunct populations with different like breeding biology. So like central Mexico to the southernmost tip of South America, open grasslands and marshes at sea level up to like Paramo in the high Andes. So like I'm reading off of the eBird page, and that's all just crazy different habitats that it's probably distinct, and there's distinct looking plumages. So we have this, that.
That does look just like a sedge wren.
It used to be in the same species as a sedge wren. So
wow. Yeah, I've never heard of that bird.
It was split recently. But that genus is Cystopterus, I think.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, however you would say that. But there are 3 species in Central and South America, 2 of them which are Paramo specialists and are really sick.
Endangered.
Yeah, this is the Apolliner's wren, and that is endemic to the high Andes outside of Bogota, Colombia. Then there's the Merida wren, which is endemic just to a few mountains in Bolivia. And I can't remember which, but one of them has 2 different subspecies with really distinct breeding behavior, which is interesting. And could be a split or could just be 2 subspecies. It's very, very much a tangent. But yeah, they're really sick birds. I really hope to see them.
Do you want to briefly explain what constitutes a lot of splits or lumps?
Yeah, so a lot of it is based on genetics.
Yeah.
So how far apart genetically 2 species are, or 2 populations, I guess. And then also differences in song or call notes. A lot of the time will be part of that, something that will back up a split, as well as plumage differences or breeding behavior, or generally like habitat preference. All of these overlapping will lead to a split, and if there's not much difference, that could be a lump.
Pre-zygotic and post-zygotic barriers for those splits, and then if they decide that it's just not enough,
Yeah.
then they bring them back sometimes.
Yeah.
I know Pacific Slope and Cordilleran, those two flycatchers just got lumped back.
For good reason.
Hmm.
I like having seen both of them. It's the same bird. There are two populations, and if you're in the heart of their populations, yes, there's different, but there's so much overlap,
Mm-hmm.
and the calls overlap. Everything overlaps. Another thing that you look for with lumping species or splitting them is if they overlap and interbreed. So,
Right.
for example, a future split that I strongly support is the two warbling vireos. So eastern and western, they overlap in some areas, and they breed in the same forests in some areas, if I'm remembering correctly, and they do not hybridize at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they distinguishable at all by sight?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear about some of the science around some of those splits.
It also begs the question, what is a species?
Right, again. But like winter and Pacific wren used to be one species.
Yeah.
Pacific obviously being on the Pacific coast, and winter being over here with us in the east. They look identical, but they have different calls, and they don't breed together. So they were split for good reason. But you also have species like song sparrow that from the eastern U.S. to the western U.S. look completely different. They just
completely
large, different colors. Like,
but
man,
the
just
very
wild, and those are still the same species, and they'll probably stay that way. So
the interesting thing with the song sparrow is I think the reason it is still the same species is it's not like a abrupt stop. It's just
it's
gradient.
gradual.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a gradual change
so-
all across the range.
It's really cool. Whenever I got to go to the Smithsonian, they had the entire gradient laid out in a line. So that was really neat to see it just go from smaller, redder browns in the eastern ones to larger and more grayer browns in the western.
Have you ever seen pictures of the Aleutian song sparrows?
I have not.
They're wild, man.
Aleutian song sparrows.
Yeah. So Aleutian Islands in Alaska. I mean, the Aleutian Islands have a bunch of weird stuff going on with birds. For example, they have rosy finches that are like almost twice the size of normal gray crown rosy finches.
Are those migratory birds, or?
I'm pretty sure
They
they're just
stay there.
residents. Don't quote me on that, though.
Gray crowned rosy finches have been kind of exploding this year.
Let's get one.
I know that's one I looked at to see if there was anything coming a little bit further south, but there hasn't been yet.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully. Yeah, I've seen all three rosy finches in one flock before, by the way.
What state was that in?
New Mexico. I love New Mexico. I'm biased, but man, I would live there. I would live there.
I would love to get out west, spend some time birding sometime.
Yeah, one day. We're kind of running out of time, so
Yeah.
I'll say this one thing and then we can call it. But the rock ptarmigan, I think it's rock ptarmigan. They are super dark on the island of Attu, like much darker than any rock ptarmigans elsewhere, which makes sense because I think they have more volcanic rock where they're trying to camouflage from. But like the closest populations are pretty far away, and who knows, that could be a potential split in the future. There's
Wow.
so many of potential splits.
This is all just really North American and some South American species we're talking about, but I mean, there's worldwide so many species that are understudied and are only now getting attention that could constitute a split or a lump.
100%. So, I mean, like looking into, say, the islands in the Caribbean, I was talking to David Hawley about this. There's 4 subspecies of house wren that are just not house wrens. Like they're just not house wrens. So incredibly obviously not house wrens. Yet they're house wrens because no one does the genetic work. No one does the research to do all that. And there's just stories like that all through mostly areas that are outside of like your mainstream first world countries. So
Right.
Yeah, like all through Asia, there's a bunch of understudied stuff in South America.
In general, I think most ornithological studies is kind of fresh still. I mean,
yeah,
no one knew what happened to birds whenever they left for half of the year until like 1822, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
People, I think Aristotle thought they went to the moon. So
what a guy, Aristotle. Yeah. I had to write about him on my ethics exam.
Really? Yeah. But this is a little off topic, but something I find really cool and funny. The first proof of migration came from I think it was a white stork in Germany that had a Nigerian spear through its neck.
How did that thing survive?
I don't know, but it is stuffed and in a museum in Germany right now. And
I want to go.
We will absolutely link the pictures down below because it's funny. It's just it was reported. I think it was shot, and it proved that bird had been to Nigeria and back. So from that point on, migration was officially deemed as the things the bird did for half the year. But that's anyways very funny. But ornithology has a bright future ahead of it, and I think we are both happy to be contributing. So I think that does go ahead and wrap it up. We will have another episode concluding our results from the CBCs we're about to do. So that's exciting.
Any bets on how many species we'll get before we go? I think we should bet. What do you want to bet, Patrick?
I think overall at Reelfoot we're gonna get 107.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my group will get 78. I think that's probably good. What do you think?
I have no idea what Chattanooga will get overall, and we won't know for 2 months because that's how it always works with Chattanooga CBC. But I think my group personally will get, I'm going to just say 80, just to beat you. If we're right, if one of us is right, coffee on the other person. Caffeine.
Sounds good.
For the next recording.
Well, this has been Back to Birding. We are excited to get back with y'all soon.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is Luke Thompson.
And Patrick Higgins.
See y'all.
See ya.